Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it.
A 2-1 pitch. And a drive in the air to deep right field. That ball headed toward the wall. That ball is out of here! Out of here! A game-winning grand slam home run off the bat of Robin Ventura.
Hey. And it's hit deep to left center. Andrew Jones on the run. This one has a chance. Home run! Mike Piazza, and the Mets lead 3-2.
Turner drives one to center, chasing Nimmo back to the warning track right at the fence. He made the catch! Oh, whoa! The catch of the year for Brandon Nimmo! He took a home run away from Justin Turner! Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
Episode 22. Welcome to the Shea Hello podcast. My name is Casey Lynn, and I'm joined by my co-host, former Major League pitcher Bill Pulsifer, as we took the week off last week, and we are right back at it for what is unbelievably episode number 22. First and foremost, we are brought to you by roots-recordings.com, and our producer, Stephen White, behind the scenes, doing a great job as always. He has a podcast out. Check it out. Cold Popcast. Current events, great podcast. Without further ado, Bill, how have you been?
I'm hanging in there. Same old, kind of getting through the winter here a little bit.
Yeah, it's I hear winter finally hit in the Northeast. Well, you got some snow and 20 degrees?
Yeah, we got some snow last week, and it was extremely cold. It was down into the low 20s, but with the real feel, it was down in the low teens, and it has been cold. Not enjoying that.
Yeah, well, welcome to the Northeast in the winter.
Yeah, man. It's been actually mellowed the last few years, so this is kind of a cold snap.
Well, the good news is baseball's just around the corner. As we record this, we're approximately, what would you say, 3 weeks or so from pitchers and catchers spring training beginning.
Yeah, maybe just a little over 3 weeks.
And we have a lot to talk about since we missed last week, so we'll dive right into it. First, because we didn't record last week, I'd be remiss if we didn't pay our respect to the great legend and great man that he was, the passing of former Met Buddy Harrelson. I know that you knew him on a personal level. I knew him on a personal level. Just your thoughts on, just a great guy.
Yeah, Bud was a tremendous guy. And I had done a little post, and I didn't even realize this until I'd seen it, that the only Met in uniform in both wins, World Series wins. So that's pretty darn cool. But great guy, hilarious, great sense of humor. One of the guys, I got a chance to play for him. He wasn't actually the manager at the time, but he was kind of manager emeritus with the Long Island Ducks. Yep. And he just did a tremendous job there with putting together, some pretty damn big names in the Atlantic League. I was just going through right before we got on air and look at some of the guys that he was able to bring in there. And, former MVPs like Juan Gonzalez, Henry Rodriguez, Carlos Baerga played there. Jose Lima played there. I obviously played there. He did a great job of giving guys opportunities, to keep the uniform on and give them an opportunity to get back to the big leagues. We were able to win a championship the first year that I was there, their first championship with the Long Island Ducks. And Buddy is a legend. Buddy is a Mets hero. He's a Long Island hero. And he will be dearly missed by the baseball community, and especially the Mets and the Long Island Ducks community.
Yeah, I could not say it any better. You mentioned the Long Island Ducks. That's how I knew him, or when I was their broadcaster and director of broadcasting and media relations. Buddy was the man. Everybody wanted an autograph from Buddy. Everybody wanted to meet Buddy. So Buddy we were buddies, and I actually looked at my phone the other day, and I still had his cell phone number in my phone. It hit me a little harder when I saw that going through my contacts, but I have nothing but great things to say about Buddy. We went on so many Christmas hospital trips where we visited the hospitals in Suffolk County and brought gifts from the Ducks to the children who were sick to bring a smile to their face. All the parades, all the hospital visits during Christmas time and also Valentine's Day. He signed everything. He was kind, humble, just a great man. And you're right. He won a World Series in '69 with the Mets, and he was the third base coach running around in the big classic moment we all remember. The ball getting through Buckner's legs. You see Buddy, running with
Jason Ray Knight down.
Yep. He's part of the two championships right there. So that's history.
Absolutely.
And I posted on X, Twitter, going back to just how kind he was. When I was there, he gave me his '69 Mets World Championship ring to wear out to lunch one day. And I did. He trusted me, obviously, and it was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And, just to wear a ring of a World Championship. So, but he was a great man. Nothing but respect to him, and we will miss him for sure.
May he rest in peace.
Yes, sir. May he rest in peace. Speaking of former Mets and the Mets, there's a lot to do still. Unbelievable that we're 3 weeks still, only, I should say, away from spring training, and the Mets roster is still not complete. We touched upon it in our last episode of Manaea and Bader, the last two free agents that they signed, but they still need a quote-unquote DH or somebody, another bat, if you will, and they need at least one and probably two relievers. And Bill, there's still 163 free agents out there right now. And like I've said already twice, spring training is about 3 weeks away. What do you attest, or do you even remember an offseason where so many free agents are available and little time left until we start?
I definitely don't remember this many. I do remember over the last few years some guys, some of the bigger names holding out and waiting, and signing right after spring training had started. Obviously, this is an incredible number of free agents still out there. We briefly talked through text yesterday about what I kind of feel was going on. I think that the Dodgers have kind of broke the system a little bit with the amount of money that they threw at a few players, and I think that between the players and the agents, their asking prices are extremely high.
Yeah.
And due to the fact of the money that was thrown out there to the two big free agents, you know how I feel about one of them who has not played in the big leagues yet. He got entirely too much money in my eyes.
Yamamoto, right?
Yeah, it's way too much money for a guy that hasn't pitched yet. You got to prove me something. But I think that the owners have decided. I bet you these guys come screaming and come ready to sign come spring training time when they know that they need somewhere to play. And I guess it's kind of a little bit of a standoff right now between the players and the owners and the general managers as to who's going to jump first. I think that they're, the big guys are waiting for money, and then kind of the way the pecking order has always went, they kind of try to fall in order after that. Well, there's still some big guys out there. So the other guys don't want to shoot themselves in the foot and leave money on the table.
Remarkably, Snell is still available. Reigning Cy Young, Montgomery, we talked about it all offseason. And then you have 161 other free agents. And I thought when Yamamoto signed, that would be the, dominoes would fall. No.
The money, man. The money screwed it all up.
Right. Hader signed with the Josh Hader.
Yes.
Signed with the Astros just to bolster their bullpen, which is incredible. With already a closer, Ryan Presley, and they have Abreu. Abreu is now going to be their seventh inning guy.
Yeah. Wow.
Unbelievable bullpen. I thought after even Hader signed, the biggest reliever, market would heat up. Nothing. So I do agree with you that owners right now kind of have everybody by the balls, the players. Because the Dodgers kind of changed the whole baseball and up with deferred signing everybody, deferred money. I mean, all the big players going there. James Paxton, free agent, went to the Dodgers just for depth, because Ohtani's not pitching. He just signed there for $10 million.
I didn't see that yet. Okay.
Yeah, that was early in the week, and I think he got like $10.5 million, 1 year deal.
1 year.
Yeah, but they can't rely on. Well, I hope they can rely on Yamamoto for the money they're giving him, but
Well, you hope so. But...
they better. But depth, they got Paxton, and like you had mentioned, we were texting the other night. I brought up Teoscar Hernandez, who about a month ago signed with the Dodgers. He gave up multi-years and more guaranteed money to sign a 1 year deal, and it was all basically deferred. But he went to the Dodgers for a 1 year deal so he could play on a super team.
Yeah,
and that's unheard of.
It's kind of like the NBA kind of starting to happen in MLB a little bit.
Right. I'm thinking LeBron James to the Heat, or Durant to the Golden State Warriors, where they all buddy up.
Yeah.
You put it perfect, and I agree. What the Dodgers have done, it's not good for the sport. But moving on from the Dodgers, the Mets do have spots that are seemingly available. I mean, they have to field a 26-man roster. They're not kind of there yet, but here's my take, Bill. What I don't understand, or not a take, my question. Help me out here.
Okay.
And the listeners and watchers, if you're watching on Shea Little Media on YouTube or listening wherever you get your podcasts, the Mets are really a DH, a Turner, JD Martinez, or a Jorge Soler. We've talked about them in depth. And a couple of relievers, quality, and they're all out there still, away from being competitive. But for some reason, it's like the Mets don't want to be competitive. Like, they're there. They're only going to get 1 year deals, at least Turner, JD Martinez, and most relievers. So, I mean, call me crazy, but no team doesn't want to be competitive, especially on New York market and an owner who has the deepest pockets. But the Mets have shown me nothing, at least David Stearns, and he's doubled down. We're going to be competitive at 24, but the moves don't show it. Sign 2 relievers, a DH, one of them, and you're at least in the race. It's not hard to make the playoffs like we've discussed. I don't understand maybe it's to your point, they're waiting it out to get better deals. You tell me. I don't understand it.
I think that's definitely it. I think that the owners have now decided we're not just going to splash all this cash because the Dodgers have, and the players are feeling like there's money out there to be had. It's a waiting game. I'd like any of those 3 guys now at this point as a DH. Just give me somebody as a DH. And with the relief guys, we've talked numerous times about Robertson. I know you said you like Wandy Peralta too, a guy that's pitched in New York, a guy that's had multiple successful seasons as a Yankee. It would be nice to solidify those, but then you got to think about these like, and you've even said it, some of the older guys, they feel like, I'm a veteran. I don't need to be in spring training. I don't want to be in spring training. So they're not.
Good point.
They're not worried about whether I'm going to be ready or not. I have the facilities and the money to do the things that I need to do to prepare. And if I get in, 50 at bats or 40 at bats or whatever, if I get a few innings, then I'll be ready to go. So I think that's what's going on, and unfortunately, it's just holding everything up down the line. But I'll take any of those 3 guys. I do prefer Soler, simply on a little bit younger. You got to worry about the other guys. Their possibility. I want to go win.
Yep.
So if they don't feel like the Mets are a competitive fit, maybe Robertson's in that same boat where he knows he's towards the end of the line. Maybe he wants to try to make his biggest run, and if he doesn't feel it's the Mets, maybe that's what's holding it up a little bit, as well as him with re-signing and coming back.
Here's my, as you could tell, I'm frustrated and I'm a little confused because the expectations aren't there like they have been the last couple of years. They were favorites to win it all, spending all the money. This year, it's known just by their roster 90% complete that they're not going to have those expectations. But 6 teams make it in the National League. If you, and I'm repeating myself, sign like a David Robertson and a Wandy Peralta and get a Soler who does fit, if he wants 3 years, he does fit the plans of the next 2-3 years.
I think so.
And they're all still available. So it can't be that they're holding out and all the contracts and money are coming to them, to their agents, So it's, again, to your point, it's like the owners have them by the balls.
Right now,
Right
now. And then I think it may switch back a little bit again when it comes down to I haven't even filled out my roster yet. I got to fill out my roster, So I think they're like playing a little bit of a pissing contest as to, who's going to be the last man standing when it comes to, okay, we got to get something done now.
Yeah, it's just crazy that many free agents are still available. But here's the other thing, and it's a perfect segue for it. The Mets, and I've mentioned it, are not far from at least competing. Like they have their offensive core back, and you hope for healthy years from Marte, who's in the Dominican League, and McNeil with the bounce back year, and Nimmo and Lindor and Pete doing what they do. They have their offense, but you can't rely on a Mark Vientos giving him 500 at bats. You don't know what you're going to get. Or Brett Beatty is your third baseman, but that's another reason to get a Turner who can play third and have depth there. Right now, Joey Wendell is your backup third baseman, platoon guy.
Comparable to a Guillorme, I would say, right?
Absolutely, 100%. But I'll say that they're incomplete right now. I'm not going to give a grade. Obviously, we can't because they don't have a complete team. But Stearns has shown me so far that he's working like a small market team, like it's Milwaukee. And whether Steve said, I'm giving you the keys to the team, you do what you want, and this is what Stearns is doing, I can't see that because Steve owns the team. A rhetorical question, if you're Steve Cohen in New York, you say you want to win a World Series 3 to 5 years, and this is year 4, how are you not even trying to be competitive? We've already accepted, because we have no choice. It's called radical acceptance, that they're not going to have the expectations. But I don't understand how at least you just don't field a competitive team. The players are still out there. We've mentioned them. So it just confuses me. It's mind-boggling.
I think, again, it's going to go back to the amount of money that was spent on a few players has raised the market so high. And with the amount of money that the Mets are having coming off the books after this year, maybe their outlook as to what this year was going to be has kind of altered a little bit, being that some of these players now feel like they can garner a bigger payday that may have been expected prior to the $800 million contract and the $340 million contract. Maybe that's kind of altered their path, knowing that they know that they're going to have money coming off the book for 25. They thought that we could maybe get some of these guys on the cheap to help us build into 25. And now these guys are they're going to want their payday too.
I know. I could play devil's advocate for that. The guys that they really just need to complete their team with the relievers we talked about and the DHs, they're 1-year deals. They're only going to.
These guys, I want 2 years. I want 2 years. I'm at the end of my career. Give me 2 years. MLB money is guaranteed. It's not like the NFL where you can sign me to a 2-year deal, and after 1 year, you're like, you know what, man, take a hike. So I don't see that as not, I don't want a 1-year deal. I want a 2-year deal. I'm 38. I don't care. I want a 2-year deal. You just told me that you're going to sign Shohei Ohtani until he's 40, and you're going to sign this guy till he's 40. Well, I can pitch till I'm 40, or I can swing the bat till I'm 40.
It's just all of it doesn't make sense to me. Like Turner and JD Martinez were on 1-year deals last year.
Yeah.
And then they had good years, especially JD Martinez.
There you go. Good year. I got 2 more years left in me.
And they're older, and Martinez does have back problems and issues, but he put up great numbers. We'll see what happens. Incomplete, But it just – the next question is, and I think I alluded to it, and right now, who is protecting Pete Alonso in his walk year? Like – if your DH is Mark Vientos, you're putting a lot of faith in a guy who has minimal, very small sample size in the major leagues. Like he's not the guy. Is it DJ Stewart who may be platooning the DH lefty righty with Vientos? Like you have a guy in a walk year, fan favorite. Like if your 5-hitter is Vientos or Stewart, they're not going to pitch to Pete. So
I think I took a moment. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm literally asking you, because you can tell I'm frustrated.
I took a moment to think about this, and I think that the way that it stands, if I was looking at it, and I really hate that they did this for a few years, and now I think the Yankees are still doing it, and I think they've got away from it a little bit. But I think at that point in time, maybe we're hitting Pete second.
Yeah.
And Lindor third. And then, maybe DJ Stewart's or Marte is hitting fourth. I think that it might be a little more of a less conventional, more unconventional way of looking at the lineup, which I know that they teams have been doing over the last few years where, you're putting your big power guy where, your power guy used to be 3 and 4 where you're moving him up in the lineup and they hopefully get him that one more at bat. That's the only thing I can think of unless they can sign a Soler or sign. Right. I mean, I wouldn't think that, Martinez is more of a home run threat than Turner, but I think that's what I would be thinking. Maybe I'm hitting Lindor after him and I'm hitting Pete second.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I thought along those lines as well because Pete has batted second before.
Yeah.
You have to have somebody protecting him or they just won't pitch to him because he's the only power threat. I know Lindor had a 30-30 season, but, he's not that power hitter you're afraid of.
Well, that's what I would hope. I would hope maybe, and we've talked about this over the fall into the winter, is maybe that would help Francisco focus a little more on batting average. Getting the job done a little bit, other than hitting the ball over the fence. Maybe that could be a change of his approach a little bit because I more than believe he's capable of doing that. I think that he's fallen into the hit the ball over the fence syndrome that a lot of the major league teams have kind of went, but. I think that if you're going to know that Pete's going to get pitches thrown to him, that you might be able to be a little more hitterish as opposed to feeling like you've got to save the day.
Yeah. 2 is not out of the question. He's batted there, and he had probably I got to go back, but a Lindor bat third and protect him. But let's say hypothetically that he is batting fourth, which he has done 90% of his career. McNeil batting fifth, Alvarez, Marte.
Marte, I would think maybe Marte, but then I would think that it would possibly go with the Nimmo.
Nimmo's your leadoff hitter.
Yeah, Nimmo, McNeil,
right.
Lindor, Alonso, and then maybe Marte. But we need to see that Marte's healthy again. I don't believe he was healthy at all last year. We've said that. I think that obviously he's got a year under his belt from having his hernia surgeries. I expect him to be a better player this year, but then where age starts to factor in as well. Maybe he aged a little bit over these years too. So you hope for the best, but I think that's another possibility. Stewart obviously finished the year tremendously hot, but he's still going to have to continue that and roll that into the following to this season coming up. But he would be another guy that if he could stay hot, man, I like his power swing behind Pete. If he shows the capabilities and shows the success that he had towards the end of the year last year.
Yeah, lightning in a bottle with DJ Stewart, which gave him that guarantee contract for this year. Good for him.
I'm rooting for him, man, because I love that swing. I love the way he plays. I'm rooting for that guy, and I think he could be a nice addition season long, getting him out there and getting at bats and building confidence.
Yeah, he's got raw power. We saw it. I think Stearns. This is my guess. He's been on record. He's going to play the young. He wants to have the young guys play, and he's making the decisions, not the new manager right now, Carlos Mendoza. But at a certain point, if that doesn't work out, everything we've just talked about is if. So it's like if everything works out, great. But that's a lot of ifs. If Marte's healthy, if Stewart can harness that lightning in a bottle for a full year, it's a lot to ask for. And frankly, I'm not asking for a lot here. I'm asking for a team to be around 86 wins like the Diamondbacks and have a little chance of contention where they're not sellers at the deadline.
Yeah.
Is that too much to ask for?
No, it's not. But I think that the way that things turned out it's making it more difficult on us as fans and you as a fan. Because the way that things went last year, it was so much of a letdown, quote unquote, or whatever. Call it a letdown, whatever you want it to say. And then we just haven't made a big splash this offseason. So it makes it even that much more frustrating for the fan base and for the fans that, man, I just don't see it yet. I don't see it yet. So that's kind of how, that's how the fans feel. The trust has been put in Stearns. We have a young core of talented players that are unproven. And listen, at every point in time, a young player is an unproven player until he can get out there and do it. So,
right. We're
hopeful for the best. We're being optimistic, but obviously the questions and the frustration can be there because you just don't see the marquee lineup that you were hoping for or expecting to see.
Yeah, and again, if all goes well, they have a lot to offer with Alvarez and Vientos.
Yeah.
I've been on record that Vientos, and again, small sample size, he's an AAA player. And it looks like they're not going to get a DH, and I could be wrong, and I hopefully am. But right now, it's Vientos and Stewart. And it's like, here you go, Vientos. Here's your one chance with the Mets. The keys to the DH. You're going to get your 500 plate appearances, But it's a lot to ask for. And, yeah, you're right. It's frustrating after what we've had in the last couple of years.
Yeah. The excitement and the roster,
Yeah.
and the players, the names.
It's almost like everything has to go right just to be a competitive team. And it's honestly, again, I'm not going to go back, but I am. Sign Robertson, Peralta, get a DH, and let's rock and roll. But it's like
I love it. I love it. We've been on board with Robertson since they traded him. Getting him back. A gamer. Again, you got to worry about age, but that's with everybody. That's a roll of the dice. But a proven commodity, proven eighth inning guy. I love it, man. Soler, I would love to have him because I just think he brings in excitement as well too, and I think he kind of fits the mold a little bit here with the mixture of the Latin players and the American players and the Asian players. I think it's a good mix,
Yeah, Soler has swag, but more importantly, he has power, and the Mets don't have a power hitter other than Pete.
Yeah.
So that's what they're missing, and he's there for the taking. And
I don't want to see Nimmo trying to hit home runs. I don't want him to be a home run guy. I want him to be who he is. Get your walks, hit your doubles, steal your bases, get on base. I don't want him. I don't want to sacrifice 20, 30 batting points on Nimmo's average to try to hit a few more home runs. Let's get somebody that's a proven commodity to hit the ball over the fence and let Nimmo be Nimmo. And maybe Lindor doesn't have to be A-Rod. Lindor can be Jeter, or he doesn't have to worry about hitting a million freaking home runs. He can hit 25 and drive in 85 instead of having to hit 35 and 105,
And just to put a bow on this, and we'll go to happier talk here because you're getting the vibes off of me. I'm frustrated, and most fans are because these guys are still available, and Mets aren't signing anybody, and they can.
Well, the good thing is nobody's signing anybody really, so it's still to be had.
Rumors are they have a $10 million cap left, which is bullshit. Like how? Andy Martino said the Mets only have $10 more million to spend. They want to stay wherever. Like, huh? That's one reliever. So that means sign a Hector Neris. Well, no, Neris is another free agent out there. He's going to get 2 years and good money.
He should. He's been, he should. He's been good, and he's been on a good team. He's been on a winning ball club. He's proven. He's another proven commodity.
Yeah. So they're, like you said, they are available. Let's see what happens. We got 3 weeks. They're going somewhere. So moving on, a little happier talk. Wanted to talk about Shea Stadium for a second. Been popping up on Twitter a lot lately. I have no idea why, but it just got me thinking, and I wanted to just discuss with you, go back and forth a little bit. Do you have any favorite moments, either as a player who has pitched at Shea Stadium or as a fan, maybe being in the stands, or either or, both? Anything that sticks out to you?
Well, I can give you one as a player and one as a fan. And one was I was actually a player, but it was during the winter time, and I had been brought up, and I can't even remember what in the world I was doing going up there, but the Mets had me into New York and took me over to the stadium, up into the boxes up top, and down and through the clubhouse, and gave me a little bit of a tour. So this was my first time ever going into my favorite team's stadium/clubhouse. And I remember being up in the boxes and looking down, and the field was covered in snow at the time. And so I was technically a minor league player for the Mets, but at the point I wasn't a major league player yet. I wasn't a Met yet. Just being there and knowing the history of my favorite team and the players that have played there and my heroes that have played there, obviously being, seeing it. Holy shit, this is Shea Stadium. This is where I've dreamt about being my whole life. And then as a player, obviously the first time I ever walked out of the dugout, walked down the dreary, disgusting tunnel down into the dugout and out to the great expanse of Shea Stadium. It was just so huge. It seemed so much of a bigger place than New Shea City Field. Just looking up there and seeing the Tommy Agee where he hit the ball past the
Yeah.
left field foul pole. Just thinking, how in the world did that ball ever get hit there? I guess as a player
Unreal.
and a fan, because I remember being in the dugout. I used to love when they would do the plane races. You know, and it would be the low section, the whatever, you know, field level, and you would have to, you know, bet for your level, and it would fly around Shea and then back over to LaGuardia. You know, it was up on the scoreboard, the big screen. You know, it was Shea. It was. I've always said the most dreary, gloomy, beautiful place that I've ever been to. I loved it.
I've always said it, and all Met fans can attest to it. You know, we've mentioned it. It was a dump, but it was our dump. You know, I can't talk about being a player, obviously, for the Mets, but I could talk about just being a fan and, you know, walking up the steep ramps to get to your seats as a fan, where it's like, where am I going? It's like you're on a roller coaster, and going up, and it doesn't make sense. You know, it worked. It was a dump. You know, water leaking sometimes. The bathrooms were what they were, but when you got to the end of that ramp and you saw the field, you know, it was like a day game, and you get like 85 degrees and sun, and you smell the hot dogs and the smell of the grass, and if you got there for batting practice and the crack of the bat, it was like heaven, you know. And for whatever reason, with the jets flying over, it being, you know, and obviously it's changed with the trajectory of Citi Field, and we don't have the planes flying over as much anymore.
Right.
Very bad. But that was, you know, those little nuances at Shea Stadium made Shea Stadium great.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I'm not knocking Citi Field. We talked about the Jackie Robinson Rotunda, you know, try to maybe incorporate some Mets baseball more so. But Citi Field's great. But I always look at Shea more as a ballpark, and Citi Field as a hybrid bird of a ballpark and a tourist attraction, if you will. You know, where there's a lot to do, and that's like the new thing for stadiums. So I get it.
Yeah.
But Shea was great, you know, and as a fan, obviously a lot of memories there. So
Absolutely.
Always good to reminisce
And
about.
I tell you what, being on the field when those planes would go over, it was very loud. I'm sure it was loud in the stands as well, but it was very loud out on the field when they would fly by.
You know, yeah, no, that's interesting. You always would see batters step out of the box when a plane would be over Shea. Pitchers, I guess the equivalent, step off.
Yeah.
You know, you couldn't do that in 2023, in 2024.
No,
Disengagement, you know, but
right. I wonder if they would make a specific change for that, for the airplane rule. You're allowed a second timeout if the airplane flies by.
Yeah, why not? I mean, they have all these crazy rules, you know, added along. So
well, they've changed them again, right? They've sped things up again. Even that's been confirmed, right?
18 seconds now you have as a pitcher when a guy's on base instead of what was 20 last year. So 2-second difference. How really is that going to change the game? Like what
I don't
really need that.
I guess people are going to have to get to the ballpark just a little bit earlier to get their money's worth. You know, make sure you get there for BP that's not being taken.
It's crazy. You know, it just is. But it's always good to reminisce about big old Shea.
Big Shea. Man, I used to love. I mean, just driving up and you see the big sucker. You know, big blue right there. It was beautiful. And
I forgot what you were referring to about the on the jump on the. What do they call it? Diamond Vision, I think it's, you know, with the race of the planes.
Yeah.
Field box was orange, obviously. Blue was loge.
Yep.
Green was mezzanine, and red was upper deck.
There you go.
Forgot about that. And, you know, things like that just made the little
I look forward to it every night. I look forward to that every night, and I also look forward to it. I don't remember what the movie is, but the guy, it's an old man who runs out through the window, and he goes, I want everybody out of your seats. And all together with me, I want you to sing, yell, and it was, let's go, Mets. That was, you know, that was great.
Jack Nicholson was the actor.
Was it?
Yeah. And, oh, no, that I know, the other man, sorry.
But is it Soylent Green? Was that the movie that it's from? I believe it is.
Yeah.
Somebody will be able to tell us on X. Somebody knows for sure better than us.
And they changed it to Let's Go Mets and you know, edit it out, and it got the stadium rocking.
Yep.
That was their go-to. So,
Loved it. And then obviously, and I think they still do it. What is it? After the seventh inning stretch, they play Lazy Mary.
Right? Yep.
That was always something to look forward to at Shea Stadium.
I'm thinking when John Franco would come in to close Jack Nicholson, it would be, here's Johnny. What,
there we go.
But yeah, what you're referring to is spot on.
I think it's Soylent Green. I believe somebody will let us know. One of our loyal listeners and loyal fans knows.
In this little big head of mine, I remember it like it was yesterday, but I can't tell you the movie off the top of my head. But I know exactly how it goes.
I'm talking about.
We all do. Yeah.
Yep.
Good old Shea. So we're going to move on to the mailbag now.
All right.
People listeners are watching for the first time. Every week, we ask on Twitter or X if you'd like a question for Bill or myself to answer. We will answer it by me tweeting out on Shea_hello questions for Bill. Just write it right there in the comment section, and we'll read them and answer your questions live on the pod, which we're going to do right now. So let's just get right into it. We had last week off, so we're going to incorporate questions from this week and also last week. So here we go. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. We'll start with your boy, NYMGI. He goes, he never has a question for me. It's always you. He goes, for Bill. He loves you. For Bill, just wondering.
I think he loves you too, though. He's a loyal listener.
He really is. There's always the questions for you. I get it. I'm just teasing everybody here.
I know.
For Bill, and we did touch upon this, just wondering if you could share some Buddy Harrelson stories. So we talked about it.
I'll give one because we did speak to him earlier, and I thought about this a little bit, and I thought it was really a cool thing that he did for us, the team, the year that we won in 2004 when we won a championship. And the whole year, like, we got off to a tremendous start. And, in the Atlantic League, this, you're aware of this, other fans and listeners might not know this. It's a 2-half system where you play a first half and you play a second half, and you have a first half winner and you have a second half winner. All right, so in the first half, we ran away with the thing. And then a bunch of guys got signed out of there. Me, Billy Seamus, Lance Davis, a few other guys, they got signed. And we went on to go when we went to AAA with some organizations. And during the season, loosey-goosey was the saying. That was Buddy's saying. Loosey-goosey, loosey-goosey, loosey-goosey.
Know it well. He kept it all those years.
And I'm sure that came from, the Mets days and probably his playing days. But we all decided after the minor league season ended, the Atlantic League season was still going on. We'd all decided, what we're going to do? We're going to ask for our releases, which might not have been the smartest thing at the time. But it didn't matter because then you just look like, okay, another guy got released. Why did they release him? Anyway, we all decided we're going to come back and we're going to get the band back together. And he had shirts made, undershirts, and not just T-shirts, but the
good stuff.
The good stuff. And he had shirts made up, loosey-goosey, and on the back, we're getting the band back together. Because that's what we all, and I thought that was always really cool that he did that because, independent baseball, Atlantic League, you're not making a lot of money. You don't get treated the best, even though the Ducks do it better than most. I thought that was a cool thing that he did for the whole team and got everybody that. And it was just kind of him, loosey-goosey, and I'll never forget that. I know I got the shirt somewhere stashed away in my memorabilia, but I always thought that was something that was pretty cool that Buddy. And just, we loved the loosey-goosey, and then, him to get the shirts made up for us when we all came back with the band back together, I thought was pretty cool.
That's a great story. And when Buddy passed away, I'm still in touch with a lot of former Duck players back when I was there. All of them still did the hashtag loosey-goosey.
Loosey-goosey.
So, it made its way from 2004 all the way to, 8 years later.
You're fully aware of what I'm talking about. Yep.
I am.
Yep.
So good story, good question. And again, Buddy Harrelson, rest in peace. Let's move on to another one of our avid listeners, Jeff Cohen, who also has a great podcast, Baseball and Barbecue. I recommend tuning in, subscribing to his podcast. It's great. He's actually got a question for both of us. So let's start with you. Why not?
Sounds good.
Bill, did you like hitting? And he did some research, by the way. You had 2 doubles and 4 RBIs in your first season. How much emphasis was put on the pitcher in hitting / preparing for sacrifices and all that sort of thing?
I did enjoy hitting. I played, I was a two-way player. That's what they call them nowadays. Back in the day, you were just a player that pitched. But
Right.
I did play. I obviously left-handed. Played a lot of first base growing up, and then moved to center field in high school because Brian Buchanan, who actually ended up playing in the big leagues with the Yankees and the Padres, he moved to first base. Enjoyed hitting, loved it. Wanted to be a position player. Enjoyed shagging fly balls. I would, when it comes to bunting and preparation, if you're a top minor leaguer and a pitcher, you go to what they call instructional league every year. And I did it 3 years on my way up, and in my 4th year, I made it to the major leagues. That's a six or 7 week program, kind of like a spring training for top prospects.
Right.
Every morning before the workout started, the pitchers were out on the field with Bobby Floyd, who was our minor league field coordinator, feeding the machine. And we had grids out, a 3-point grid, a 4-point grid, a 5-point grid on either side. And we did bunting competitions. So I did this for 3 years in the fall. So the preparation for bunting in that at the time was immense with the Mets, huge. Obviously, you didn't hit in rookie ball and A ball. You didn't hit till Double A, but they made sure that the pitchers did take some form of batting practice in the minor leagues. Then once you get to the big leagues, the starting pitchers hit every day. And now obviously it's changed now. But you were the first group every day. You were out early, and the starting pitchers hit early, and then the position players came out and hit. And BP was an everyday thing for the most part. Obviously, you had your days where it was a rain day or you just traveled. But, there was preparation, and I took pride in it. Absolutely. It got harder as I got older because you didn't you didn't get as many regular at-bats. But I took pride in my hitting, yes.
Did you you brought up some memories that I had when I was with the Ducks and, other minor league teams. The pitchers, at least I was with a team in Maryland broadcasting. Tommy Herr was the manager.
Was this the Blue Crabs? Blue Claws?
Hagerstown Suns.
Okay.
And Tommy Herr, great all-time second baseman for the Cardinals, double play combo with Ozzie Smith.
Yes.
He was the manager, and the pitchers requested if they threw X amount of strikeouts or a shutout, they got batting practice. There you go.
Dude, we loved it. We loved it. Everybody could talk a little shit to each other, and you'd make a little game out of it, and it was, we loved it. We actually had a game that it incorporated our running. It was called One-Eyed Cat. And it was the craziest game. And I don't remember specifically the rules, but it had something to do with getting the ball back to the bucket. And you had to run the ball to the bucket if you got it if you were on defense. And when you hit the ball, you didn't run to first base. You had to sprint from home plate to second base and get to second base before they got the ball back into the bucket. And it was kind of a way of incorporating, having some fun, taking some batting practice, as well as getting some conditioning in. And we couldn't wait to play One-Eyed Cat. We loved it.
Yeah, I was going to say
that sounds like called One-Eyed Cat, but
I was going to ask.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
We loved playing it.
Sounds like a lot of cardio,
It was, and it was a lot of fun. And competition, you're competing because it would be one team against the other team. And when you got your outs, we would flip flop, and now we're out in the field running while they're hitting, and we loved it.
Yeah, well, the game has changed obviously now with the DHs and pitchers not batting, but
unfortunately,
we can remember the good times where pitchers, were hitting and
or
not hitting, at least trying to hit.
Right.
But good question, great answer as well.
Thank you.
He's got one for me. I'll answer it quick. Casey, where do you prefer to sit at Citi Field? Is there a particular location that is better than any others? I'll answer it this way. I don't have a favorite place in Citi Field to sit, but I always, whatever stadium, I'm rooting for the team. So Mets, obviously, behind where their dugout is. So if they're playing the Marlins in Miami, I'm behind that. They actually have the first base dugout there. So, which is rare for a visiting team, but I like to sit behind if I can. And in Miami, very easy to get close seats, by the way. That would be my answer. Right behind the dugout where the Mets are, situated. So
at home, first base side.
Yep, absolutely.
I'll tell you this, but I did find this out. I'll make it quick. Day games at New Shea Citi Field, you definitely want to sit third base side though.
Yeah.
Day games, because first base side right in the sun, and you will get fried in the middle of the summer if you're sitting first base side.
Totally agree. Yeah. So great questions once again by Jeff, and we got time for one more. Jimmy Lags. He's been reoccurring as well. We'll go with his question. He's got, I guess, the same question for both of us. He goes, Bill and Casey, thanks for reading my questions on air on the pod. I was wondering what both of your opinions were on Mark Vientos. I'll go first.
Go ahead.
We've talked about it. Listen, if the Mets are not getting a DH like we talked about, whether the three guys that we talked about, and it's going to be Vientos, it's his time to shine. He's got the power. He's got the exit velocity. He's young. He's motivated. I've seen his workouts that he puts on Instagram. He looks like he's in shape. I'm rooting for the kid. I have no choice. He seems like a good guy. Do I want another DH who's proven? Of course. But if it is Vientos, I have no choice but to root for him. I do see the power and how the ball comes off his bat. He hits the ball harder than most. So usually that translates to good things. So again, incomplete. I haven't seen enough of Vientos, but I've seen that there's a lot of good things, if you're like a hitting coach, that you could work on to harness what he can bring. So it's not the worst thing to have in a guy in Vientos if you want to play the young guys. Yes, I'd rather JD Martinez, but if it's Vientos, so be it. He has the tools to hit you 30 home runs and get on base. If it is that, let's see it. How about you?
As a former young swag player myself, I would say this about him. Cut the swag shit out a little bit, and let's just get hard-nosed baseball and focus on baseball and not caring about gold chains or tight pants or any of that nonsense that really doesn't matter. Earn your swag a little bit more. I would have told a 21-year-old, 22-year-old Bill Pulsifer the exact same thing. You gotta do it. Either you do it or you don't. We've talked about that, and he has not done it up to this point. Obviously, rooting for him, want him to do well, but I would say a little less about the flair and a little bit more about the working hard and let's get it done.
Couldn't agree more. The last thing I'll say, and then we're going to move on to quick pitches. He hasn't had the opportunity to play every day, and we've talked about this. When you're in the lineup every day, pressure's a little bit off. That you could go 0 for 4 and not have to wait 3 days.
Absolutely.
That's huge, and that's a huge thing. So, that could help. But great questions once again. So thanks for everybody who chimed in. Again, if you're watching on Shea Media on our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. If you're listening wherever you get your podcasts, follow us. Leave a comment. What do you think about Vientos? What are our listeners' opinions on Mark Vientos? I'd love to hear what they have to say. So thanks again for all the questions. Time for quick pitches. It's been 2 weeks, Bill.
Yeah.
So again, for the new people maybe who have not listened, quick pitches, simple. 3 questions for Bill Pulsifer. I ask him. Doesn't have to be baseball related. He doesn't know what's coming. And without further ado, I'm ready. Are you?
I am 100% almost prepared. Because I don't know what's coming.
That's actually a great answer. I don't know if I asked this. So if I did, I got a backup.
Okay.
Number 1, is a hot dog a sandwich in your opinion?
No, it is a hot dog. It is not a sandwich.
Okay.
It's its own subspecies in my eyes.
So even bread and with the substance, the tubular substance in the bread, doesn't make it a sandwich.
In my eyes, I'm not going to, if somebody else wants to say it's a sandwich, I'm not going to argue with them or begrudge them that they say it's a sandwich. In my own personal eyes, it is a hot dog.
Okay.
And a sausage and peppers is a sausage and peppers, I would say, a hoagie over and I hate to say that, but it is, or a sub. It's not a sandwich, but I guess a sub sandwich.
It's a
hot dog
tough one.
Sandwich. I'm going to say no because of the hot dog itself.
Okay.
It's not a sandwich. But if you want to call it a sandwich, I'm not going to be angry with you. I'm going to think it's a little weird, but I'm going to call it's a hot dog.
I get it. You're not so against it's not a sandwich, but you're staying firm on it's a hot dog.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2. I guess I haven't asked that question.
No, you haven't.
Good. Number 2. In your opinion, so we're talking about things that maybe could go on hot dogs and food related, what is your favorite type of cheese? There's a lot out there.
Oh, man, that is a really, really, really hard question because I do love cheese. I do love cheese.
Who doesn't?
I don't want to sound really simple and just say like a really sharp cheddar because that is one of my favorites. Munster's right up there too.
Hey, it's your answer. You could be whatever it is.
I'm gonna go with Munster.
Okay.
But I know there's another cheese that I eat with crackers sometimes at a buddy's house, and I can't think of what it is. And it's not Gruyere. But a nice pork cheese is good too. Man, there's so many. It's tough. But I'm gonna just say Munster. Munster is good. I like a nice grilled cheese sandwich with Munster and ham in it, man. That's a sandwich, and that's a heck of a sandwich.
That's a hell of a sandwich.
Yeah.
A nice grilled cheese. Yeah, that's a sandwich for sure.
But listen, I like a grilled cheese with American as well. But a grilled cheese with Munster and a nice little bit of ham in there, not too much, because you want the ham to not be. You want your ham warm. You don't want that big lump in there, and you don't get it all the way warm before you melt your cheese or toast your bread. But
okay,
I like
Munster.
that.
Okay,
Munster,
I like that.
Munster. Sharp cheddar's not bad though.
Yeah. It always turns quick pitches somehow into food. I mean, I'm asking food questions, but yeah, it's always a good discussion. But cheese, to what you said, there's so many good kinds. So
I don't know how people eat a hamburger. What the heck's a hamburger? If you don't put cheese on it, that's not a.
Yep.
It makes it. You got to have that cheese on there.
So what you're saying is that you don't have hamburgers, you have cheeseburgers.
I have cheeseburger. Yeah, I eat cheeseburgers.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
I eat cheeseburgers.
I got it. Makes sense. Let's go with number 3. I don't know. I don't know about this one. We're gonna test the waters.
All right.
What would be the worst buy one get one free sale in the world that you could think of? A BOGO, if you will.
Yeah.
Buy one to get one. Tough one question. I want to put you on the spot because it's been a while.
Buy one heart attack, get the second heart attack free.
Buy
one.
Okay.
Buy one shark attack, get second shark attack free.
Yeah, you don't want 2 of those. You don't want 1 of those.
Right.
Right. I guess my question is, why are you buying a heart attack or a shark attack?
I don't know. I don't know why you would buy one thing that you didn't want the second thing anyway. But that was your question.
Yeah.
Buy one fall off of the Empire State Building, get the second fall off the Empire State Building for free.
So basically death. You're asking for.
Death. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But I guess you don't get the second one anyway at that point.
You're not getting the second one with the shark or the Empire State Building.
Buy one leg amputation.
Oh.
Get second leg amputation for free.
So you're out of legs then.
There's no death, but now you have no legs.
Okay. You're Lieutenant Dan then.
Exactly. That's right.
Forrest Gump.
Magic leg.
Okay. I have another one for you. I was testing the waters. We don't usually go 4 questions, but we're going to make an exception because we didn't do last week.
Okay.
What is your go-to? And hear me out here. I don't really know how to ask this. What is your go-to if you don't know someone's name? Do you go, hey, bro, or chief, or buddy, or guy? Do you have any of those? Or
it's buddy. It's buddy. Hey, buddy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's funny because it's kind of like a joke between some of the guys that I played with, the Ducks and Billy Seamus and Lance Davis. Lance played with the Reds a little bit, and Seamus was a White Sox. He was a closer for the White Sox for a while at the major league level. And it was Big Buddy and Little Buddy. And we were all – I was Big Buddy, but Seamus was also Big Buddy. And unfortunately, Lance was always Little Buddy because Lance was a smaller guy. He was a little smaller than the 2 of us. So it's definitely, hey, what's up, buddy? Hey, buddy. Yeah. And something that I've wanted to be better at and I am doing better at is getting people's names because I will never forget a face. I will never forget a face. But in my life, I'm very guilty of names. So I've made a concerted effort to try to be better at that as I've gotten older. But buddy.
Yeah,
And some people hate that, and I don't use it as like a buddy because hey, listen here, buddy. It's not like that. And when I say buddy, I really mean my buddy.
Right. It's not malicious, not condescending.
No, absolutely not.
I feel like everybody, especially males, have that. It's always, if you don't know his name, you go one of those guy, bud, bro, man, whatever. So, buddy for you.
Neil Heaton, who I give lessons across from at the same building for years and years and years, his was Shooter. He called everybody Shooter. Hey, what's up, Shooter?
That's a new one.
Hey, Shooter.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
For me, buddy.
I'm a buddy.
And I'm like you, too. I never forget a face.
Never.
Names are harder. But the face, sometimes it's impossible to forget, but names, it's harder. So I'm like you.
Yeah. I actually sometimes I'll have a dream of somebody that I haven't seen in years and years and years. And the face will be exactly how my mind remembered it. It's really strange when that happens.
And do you remember their name?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Not always,
right.
but it's usually somebody that I do know, but I'm like, I can't believe I haven't seen that person in 10 years. And they were in my dream last night and they looked exactly like I remembered them.
And if you remember their name in your dream, I guess your subconscious is talking to you,
Yeah. Letting you know.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, when you start dreaming in a second language, that's pretty cool too.
Oh yeah.
But that's for another time.
Hey, this is the point of Quick Pitches, man. We get into some in-depth, weird, philosophical, crazy conversations. So
it is, and it usually gets pretty good.
Yeah, and once again, I think I was testing the waters, 4 questions, and I think we nailed it. So, just like that, episode 22 is in the books. So, I want to thank everybody for listening, wherever you get your podcasts. We're everywhere: Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, Fire TV, wherever. Follow us, and of course, if you're watching, Shea Hello Media. Subscribe on YouTube. Want to give a special thank you to Stephen White and this podcast, roots-recordings.com. Thank you, Stephen, our producer behind the scenes. Bill, 22 in the books. Any final words and anything you'd like to say to our listeners? Anything on your mind before we sign off for the day?
No, man. Just thanks to everybody. Thanks to our loyal listeners. Thanks to anybody that's new that's out there listening. Thanks for the questions, Casey. Thanks for the questions, fans. Thanks, Steve. And hopefully we get to have some exciting signings to talk about. Yeah. But we're not far from baseball. Not far.
Yeah, I have a feeling next episode, which will be 23 next week, we're going to talk about the Hall of Fame class. Yeah, we're not talking on purpose this right now. But hopefully we have some Mets players that were enshrined. And like you just said, free agents that signed as well. So we'll, without any more of that, I want to thank everybody once again for tuning in or watching, listening, whatever it might be. Stay safe, everybody. If you're in the Northeast or wherever it's cold, stay warm. And we'll catch you next time on the Say Hello podcast.